and John Patrick Schutz. We're very happy to have you here this evening with us.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here this evening, both because of the beautiful work that has been done and is part of this show, and because this show even exists, and I want to help you support art in communities as small as the Nyack or Rockland County and as big as the entire country, because it's under siege right now. So I am very excited. Lisa had asked me to speak a little bit about activism in art and the potential of art for causing change, meaningful change in society. And there's a history of that. It goes back a long, long way. You can talk about the anti-Nazi art movement in Weimar, Germany. You can talk about the WPA art movement and how certain socialistic messages were put into that artwork. The Harlem Renaissance. You had writers, you had singers, you had visual artists, you had people who were discussing the Black experience in America, some of them with hope, some of them with despair, some of them with rage, but you got their emotions through what they were doing art-wise. For myself, during the 90s, from 1990 through 1996, I was the summer editor of Provincetown magazine in Provincetown, Massachusetts. And I was required every week to not only go to all the art openings at all the galleries, but to do an interview with an artist every week. This was the time period where people were dying of AIDS on a daily basis. I remember one week in the summer of 1994, I went to 9 memorial services in 1 week. That was how hard Provincetown was hit. And art responded. There was an awful lot of, again, rage. There was a lot of anger. The ACT UP movement sort of qualified that. There were a lot of plays written, and there were a lot of poetry, my own poetry. I first started publishing poetry when I was in college, and it was usually fairly optimistic, but also I happen to have been one of those people that was very methodical in my poetry. It obeyed all of the rules, and everything was done by somebody who was a stickler for making sure that everything was done the proper way. That was me then. Then AIDS came along. I lost my first partner to it. I saw so much negativity. I saw so many people that were ignored and allowed to just die by themselves. And that changed me very specifically. All of a sudden, I went from this very regimented poet to a poet who was doing free verse and just letting my emotions and my point of view run on. And it totally turned me around artistically as a writer. I did an autobiographical play from that time period called Survivor that so pointed out in the play how depersonalizing it was in the 80s. I had to go back to my lover's home in Southern Ohio with him, and the depersonalization out there, the vast misunderstanding on purpose, the meanness of the people that were out there. When I wrote the play, his name is never mentioned because everybody talked about the patient, the lover, the faggot, the this, the that, the other thing. And so I made sure that a name was never mentioned for that character when I did it. It had very much changed me from being always optimistic and the sort of all-American boy thing into someone who took reality very differently. And I used my art to make statements with it. This is what I'm seeing currently today. Artists are fighting back. Artists are still presenting their viewpoints. And I saw that in a lot of the work that's in this show. It's funny because people took water and came up with a whole bunch of different categories that I could almost put them into. boy, am I regimented. I do put things in categories all the time. But thinking about it, there are a number who just go with the beauty and the majesty of water. And those would be the ones like Lake Louise, which is an incredible photo. You've got the Blue Planet Mirror Works was one that did that. The Secrets of Serenity, Shores of Serenity rather, Purple River, A Symphony of Sky, Moon River. These works were really emotional, but in that sense of majesty, of this is the world and this is wonderful. There are those who took it from a recreational and renewal sort of point of view. You had Your Future Reflections, Red Umbrella in its beach scene and everything that was so joyful. You have, sorry about that, Summers That Healed. We have Peachy Keen, which has this great Roy Lichtenstein type of image to it that I really enjoyed a lot. And then there were those who wanted to talk about their concerns through their art for the water in the world. You've got Sea Turtle. Sea Turtle was an amazing piece. It's very, very much three-dimensional because it is created out of, I'm told, actual garbage, but it shows a sea turtle that is caught up in a net the way far too many sea turtles are at this point. And what was beautifully done artistically makes a very strong and important message. Waves was another one that kind of hit me that way, with seagrass and textile and sea glass that had been pulled obviously out of the water, that had spent a good amount of time in the water, showing both, God, this is pollution. This is something that is destroying our waters. Changing Tides was another one that struck me, and Water Broke. Great play on words. This was a piece by someone who had two in the show, at least two that I can remember, that did mixed media. There was visual art, there was word, you actually had written word in it, and it twisted around the concept of water breaking, the beginning of life, with our water in the world breaking. Very, very brilliant. What else did I have that was in there? Trapped was another one that struck me in the same way. The whole concept of water being so necessary for life, any kind of life, brought us Trio in Pink with its flamingos, brought us Sea Turtle again, if I want to mention that again, Common Loons en Passant, two loons passing each other, a lovely piece. You got Spoonbill Sunset, Trumpeter Swans, all these representations of the animal life that needs water to survive. And Cape Cod Blues, which was a photo construction of water in and around the Cape Cod area that was all obviously in the color blue. Commerce, human's relationship with water from a point of view of how we utilize it as a resource, as a commerce. There's a great picture of New York Harbor. Magnificent because it shows New York that would not exist without its waterways, that would not exist without that harbor that made it the greatest city in the world, and the city that was the king of commerce for so long, or the queen of commerce for so long. You've got The Pool I Never Had was a great work that was done in a more modernistic style. The Two Chairs by the River was another one that brought me into that place of man's relationship with water. Mythos. Several of them had a very mythical kind of feel to them. Mostly Urban Nymph was the one that obviously struck that note first, but then Mysterious Water and the one about Gillyweed. Harry Potter. I know that's a weird thing to come up with, but when I saw the title of it and saw that it was indeed water weeds and what was living within them. It reminded me very much of that scene in the Harry Potter movies that was supposed to be really nice and idyllic at first and then went totally off the rails. Thought that was a very, very good one. There's something that had a very primal relationship to water, and that was Submersion, The Green Room, and Daughters of the Waters, which I really liked as well. What have I missed here? The all-encompassing parts of water. And that one would be Clouds and One Fell in the River, and The Isle of Skye Colors, which was a beautiful, beautiful watercolor piece. This was a spectacular show because it really took so many different viewpoints, media. There were so many different types of visual art in there. And it really made me think how important water is to simply the survival of all life on Earth, all the way down to how much I love water in my mother's pool over in Bluefield when I go over to swim in her pool. Water is part of our life all the time. And to do a show of art about water and let the artists take it in their own path, I thought was a very brilliant idea. So I really liked the ones that made a statement, but I also liked the ones that just were beautiful paeans to water itself. Great job, guys. I really, really enjoyed this.